This is a stimulus update and daily news report. I have a bunch of big updates to share with you and some unexpected news as well. So we'll talk about the latest of what's going on with Joe Manchin and the $3.5 trillion stimulus package drama. I'll play a video clip explaining exactly what's going on. I'll play a video clip from Bernie Sanders as well, talking about the budget reconciliation process moving forward. Also, we'll go over these two articles right here: why America has 8.4 million unemployed when there are 10 million job openings. Also, the stimulus update: if you had a baby in 2021, you can get the child tax credit money now. Here's how. We'll also talk about how the White House is unveiling a plan to give 100,000 new affordable houses. And then I'll answer the questions you leave for me in the comments. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. If you appreciate these fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below. So, why America has 8.4 million unemployed when there are 10 million job openings? This is a really interesting article. It just came out, and it talks about this, especially since the unemployment, federally at least, has completely ended this weekend. But it brings a big question. If you drive around at all, I'm sure you see job openings, job now, hiring now signs everywhere, but yet 8.4 million are unemployed. Why is this happening? So it says the economy is undergoing massive changes. There's a big mismatch at the moment between jobs available and what workers want. So basically it goes through saying that in certain industries, the people who are hiring are looking for more experienced people, but a lot of workers maybe have been out of work over the past year, collecting unemployment, or just couldn't find a job, and employers are looking for more experienced people, but people who have been off for a while has been causing a lot of problems because it shows their experience may not be up to par. So if we look at this chart right here, job openings in leisure and hospitality far outpace unemployed workers in the field. So you can see all the different job openings versus unemployed, and you can see leisure and hospitality, 3.5 million job openings, but only 1.5 million unemployed. Then if we go here, professional and business services, 1.5 million openings and 921,000 unemployed. So there's still a lot of openings versus unemployed. I'm not really sure what's going on here. This was as of June of 2021, but I think probably once we see the economy level off, I don't know when that'll happen, but when things normalize, we're probably going to see these numbers do a lot better. But let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. Next, let's talk about the latest tweet from Bernie Sanders. What he said yesterday, September 4th, the fossil fuel industry is spending millions to defeat the reconciliation bill and the provisions in it which will transform our energy system. They must not be allowed to succeed. The future of the planet is more important than their greed and profiteering. So here is a video clip of Bernie Sanders talking more about taxing the wealthy and what's going to happen with the budget reconciliation process moving forward.
Rich are getting much richer. They got so much money they can't even spend it here on Earth. They're off in outer space spending it. A lot of our people worry how they can afford a car. These guys are busy buying spaceships. All right? That's what they do with their money. And what we also know is that many of these billionaires in a given year, and many of these large corporations in a given year, pay less in federal income tax than you do. In some years, they pay zero. Now, Republican friends are saying, well, we can't pass this because we're going to raise taxes. You're right. We are finally going to raise taxes on the rich and large corporations who are not paying their fair share. No apologies to be made.
So what are your thoughts on Bernie Sanders and what he says? Do you agree, disagree? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. Next, quick stimulus update. I'll go through this really quick since it doesn't apply to everybody. But if you know anybody who had a baby, who adopted a child in 2021, this is important information right here. So if you had a baby in 2021, you can get the child tax credit money now. So Basically, if you had any kids in 2021, you're still eligible for that monthly child tax credit, because if they weren't doing the advanced child tax credit, you would just get it in 2022 when you filed your taxes. But since they're doing the advanced tax credit, the IRS doesn't know that you had a baby, so you will have to go through the portal. The problem is, according to this article and the IRS, in order to update the portal and let them know that you recently had a baby so you can start getting those monthly checks, they're not going to finish that until the end of September, which means that you may have to wait a few more weeks before you could put in your new child. But it looks like you could get those payments starting October 15th. You won't make the September 15th deadline to get the child tax credit then, but October 15th. I'll keep you updated more on that. Next, let's talk about the drama of what's going on with Joe Manchin voted to advance the $3.5 trillion budget bill. Now he says Democrats should press pause. So this caused a big stir in the whole infrastructure and stimulus package world. A lot of the progressive Democrats and other Democrats in general are pouncing on Joe Manchin as well as Kyrsten Sinema because he says he wants to pause and not move forward. Meanwhile, I mentioned this yesterday, his wife is getting $1 billion for her commission, which is in that Part 1 infrastructure bill. Here is a video clip explaining more of what's going on between Joe Manchin and the Democrats.
Sahil, you brought up somebody, Senator Joe Manchin, and he is in the news for a different reason this morning, and that is because he, on this issue of reconciliation and infrastructure, is saying that he wants a strategic pause in some of the movement on that front, right? He's got this op-ed out in the Journal, Why I Won't Support Spending Another $3.5 trillion. Manchin's vote, as you know, is super important. Chuck Schumer needs a yes from him and every other Democrat to basically pass that big spending bill through reconciliation. Please pull out your Manchin to English dictionary for us here and explain what a strategic pause means and what you're hearing from your sources in leadership and on the Democratic side about whether that could even...
That all depends on what is going on in the mind of Joe Manchin, Hallie. He did not define his terms, and he did not say exactly what a strategic pause means. The thing to know in this op-ed is that the only red line Manchin put out there is that he's not going to support a $3.5 trillion budget reconciliation bill. Now, that was likely already going to come down, that number, because Manchin's fellow centrist Democrat, Kyrsten Sinema, has said she will not support a $3.5 trillion bill. Beyond that, Manchin repeatedly raised concerns about the debt and about inflation, which means he's created a bit of an obstacle course for himself to find his way to yes. Now, having covered Manchin for many years, the thing to know is that when he wants to get to yes, he finds his way there. The question is, how determined is he, and whether and is he willing to make the compromises necessary with other Democrats to get this to President Biden's desk? Because remember, this is a centerpiece of President Biden's agenda, and defeat for this would be a devastating blow to the president. Now, as you can imagine, Hallie, progressives, including in the House, including in the Senate, are not happy with Manchin. Many of them want this reconciliation bill as a top priority to deal with climate change, to make investments in health care, child care, paid leave, and they are threatening to sink the infrastructure bill that Joe Manchin helped write that passed the Senate. It's sitting in the House right now. It still needs to get a vote in the House. They're threatening to sink that if Manchin sharply curtails or tries to the reconciliation bill. Senator Bernie Sanders put out a tweet yesterday responding to his colleague from West Virginia saying if the reconciliation bill goes down, then he's going to fight to take down the infrastructure bill, that these two have to move at the same time. That is a standoff right now. That is where these two sides are kind of at odds, and some of this tension is natural. These two wings want to be opposed to each other, the centrists and the progressives. Ultimately, they need each other to get their priorities into law, and that's where this is going to be a messy process over the coming weeks, Hallie.
So what are your thoughts on that? Let me know down in the comments below. Is Joe Manchin doing some dirty stuff behind the scenes? Why do you think he's pausing it? We still don't really know the reason why. I think he's probably getting pressure from outside either Republicans or his lobbyists. I'm not really sure what's going on. Moving on, let's talk about how the White House unveils a plan to produce 100,000 affordable homes. So the scope of the plan is modest compared to industry estimates of how many new homes are needed to meet the demand. So basically, they said that they're going to produce 100,000 affordable homes over the next 3 years in effort to tackle a housing supply shortage that has contributed to skyrocketing home prices. So this is actually different than the spending. So right here, while President Joe Biden has already pushed for hundreds of billions of dollars in new housing spending as part of the $3.5 trillion budget package Congress is considering, the president knows that we can't wait to take action. So basically, this extra 100,000 is separate from what is in that $3.5 trillion stimulus package. In other news, New York extends its eviction moratorium through the end of 2021. So they're actually, in New York, renters are protected until at least January 15th of 2022. And I've seen a bunch of other cities and states extending their eviction moratorium as well. I'll give an update in the next video of which states are extending their eviction moratorium. But yeah, this is big news for New York as well. Next, let's talk about Hurricane Ida damage boosts calls to rebuild with the infrastructure bill. Also, if you hear some noise in the background, that is my family. So we're actually in a hotel right now in Georgia, and the only way I could do these updates is if my family is really quiet, off to the side, off camera. They're doing a really good job, but if you do hear some noise in the background, that's them. So basically, back to this. So because of the damage caused from Hurricane Ida, by the way, my heart and prayers goes out to everybody affected from Hurricane Ida, as well as any family members or friends that you have there. Really horrible situation. Hope everyone gets better. But here is a video clip explaining how this hurricane is now prompting for more infrastructure.
Good morning, Becky. Well, President Biden had pointed to New Orleans as the poster child for the need for infrastructure investment even before Hurricane Ida hit. Now, since then, residents were told they had to boil their water. More than 840,000 people were still without electricity as of last night, and officials said it could take weeks to turn all the lights back on. So that is ramping up the pressure on local lawmakers to pass the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which could send billions of dollars to the Big Easy and across the Gulf Coast. Now, there's $17 billion for the Army Corps of Engineers priority projects, including $2.6 billion that's targeted at states like Louisiana that repeatedly get hit by hurricanes. A $12.5 billion federal fund is dedicated to improving the reliability of transmission lines, as over 1,600 miles were still out of service in Louisiana and Mississippi yesterday. Now, the lone Democrat in Louisiana's congressional delegation, Congressman Troy Carter, he wants to use the infrastructure bill to rebuild the power grid the same way the state rebuilt the levee system after Hurricane Katrina. GOP Senator Bill Cassidy has also been urging his Republican colleagues to support this bill in the aftermath of Ida, but most of Louisiana's congressional delegation has opposed it, at least up till now.
Next up, when it comes to the fourth stimulus check, so for the $2,000 per month to every American petition at change.org, it is currently at 2,854,000 signatures. Hasn't really moved up since the last time I mentioned it. When it comes to a fourth stimulus check, want to be clear, want to keep it real with you. It is not in that fourth stimulus package yet, the $3.5 trillion stimulus. It could change in the future. We still don't know all the details of what's in that package, but I want to keep it real with you. We don't know the details yet. Next, I'm going to answer the questions you leave for me in the comments. Jasmine Santiago, what happened with the videos? You were gone. Yeah, so I mention this usually at the end of my videos, but the past few days, we've been on a little trip for Bella's 8th birthday. Rather than having a party, we've just been doing a little traveling. Went to Florida for a few days. Now we're in Georgia for a few days, and we're actually leaving, I think, tomorrow to go back to South Carolina. So my videos have been a little scattered and getting them out, but starting, I think, probably Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, it'll be back to a daily schedule. Sorry about that, and thanks for your support too. Next question comes from Diana Rainey. How do us Americans just sit back and let our government fight? We need change. Our government should have never been divided. If it wasn't so divided, we could get help faster. Why pay those people to go on vacation all the time and fight in their meetings? We need to stand up and be heard. Amen to that. Well said. Yeah, why pay those people to go on vacation all the time and fight in their meetings? Either way, whether a bill passes or not, like you said, these senators and congressmen and House of Representatives, they're getting paid no matter what. So they're getting their $174,000 a year salary. They get to take their 6 months of vacation, whether something passes or not. I think probably we should probably cut off their paychecks as well as their vacation time until they get something done. They really need some accountability. Next question comes from Mark Hernandez. Where do you sign the stimulus petition? So that petition is at change.org. So if you go on Google and you type in change.org, fourth stimulus check, you'll probably find that petition. It's getting close to 3 million signatures so far.